Hello! In this video I'm going to talk about estimation. For quite a long time now, people have talked about a cone of uncertainty. Steve McConnell described this, and what he said was we become more certain over time as we estimate things. So we estimate the scope, we estimate the effort, we estimate the cost, and generally we see that we become more accurate over time as we work on the project that's going to develop that product. And traditionally this is shown as a symmetric cone of uncertainty. Well, I think that's wrong. I think in fact what happens is as we estimate over time, the average estimate actually goes up. So first, the cone is not symmetric. It's very rare in software projects that estimates go down. For traditional projects, the estimates always go up. But I'm sorry, I think even that isn't accurate enough. It's not the right depiction. And what I'm going to show you is the way I think uncertainty really behaves and what that means in terms of estimating. So if we take an Agile method, and here I'm talking about capital A Agile as defined by the Agile Alliance, and those methods include things like Scrum, extreme programming, feature-driven development, and so on. What these methods do is they reduce uncertainty over time by refining what is done and how it is done iteratively and incrementally. So if we look at the very big picture, we start with a vision. The vision will lead us towards a roadmap. What products do we want to release in the next 6 to 12 months, for example? Each of those products then will refine a little bit further. We'll have a release plan saying perhaps we want to release it every 3 months, every 2 months, or every month, or maybe even more frequently than that. So to do that, we need to understand what we need to build in the product, and we have somebody called a product owner in Scrum who creates a product backlog full of user stories describing all the features and items of work that he would like a development team to produce. So then we have our Agile development team come in and they look at the items and they say, okay, for the next sprint, the next iteration in other words, what are the items that we can build? Every day they check the progress that they're making on building those items, so that by the end of the sprint they should have a working product increment. And that's really important because we want something that's working, because if it's working we've reduced uncertainty in what we actually have. So what I want to propose is the following, that in fact uncertainty converts from a cone of uncertainty to a bubble of uncertainty. So we know what we want to build next in an Agile method, and that's what we've done in planning that iteration, but we don't know what we're going to build exactly in the future, and that's fine. That actually allows us to be agile. It allows us to add things as we discover new things, so that in fact the scope will change over time and it will actually end up in a better product for our users and customers. So how do we reduce the uncertainty? Well, the first thing is we need to groom the product backlog so we have user stories that are good user stories, and then we plan the sprints so we have a sprint backlog. And it's like a rolling ringer. We're squeezing out uncertainty to a doable state at the sprint planning. We know we can do that story. In other words, the story is what we call ready. Okay, we get to the end of the sprint now and we do a review of the product that's actually been done, that's been developed. It should have been tested, preferably fully tested. It should be in what we call a releasable state, meaning I can actually go and use that product immediately. That's what we call a done state. So we squeezed a certain amount of uncertainty out of the bubble in sprint 1. What happens in sprint 2? Well, time moves forward, of course, never moves back. And we see that we've actually squeezed out a bit of uncertainty in the next things we're going to build in sprint planning 2. And then we, at the end of the sprint, we see the working product again. And so it goes on for sprint 3 and for the subsequent sprints. You see, as we move forward, we're squeezing out the uncertainty of what we have left to build until in the last sprint we actually have the full working product that we wanted to have, and we've squeezed out all the uncertainty. So it's sort of still a little bit in the end a cone of uncertainty, but in fact the important thing is to realize that we have a bubble of uncertainty which is enabling us to be both agile from a development point of view and agile from a business point of view, because we are allowed to change the future at any time in those methods. And then when we get to planning, we plan the next amount of work. So a very quick replay of that. I hope that this is a way of looking at uncertainty and estimation that you will find useful. Don't be afraid to contact me or visit my website at scrummastercoach.com. I hope this video was useful to you, and let's get ready, done with Scrum.